think he might.
I didn't move into it.
Right, we've got a full muster. I'll call the meeting back into some sort of order and welcome Dr. Pearce and Mr. Newman and Mr. Ledger. Welcome. And good to see you here. Monthly update, and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Chairman. Good afternoon, councillors. So the bulk of our report obviously is on the RWCS, and Andrew's going to talk to most of it. From a governance perspective, as we did earlier on, we've organised ourselves into some working subgroups because there's several pieces of parallel activity. One is ensuring that all of the legal documentation, the concession deed, the project agreement, the water user agreement, and all those things are now up to date and accurately reflect the conditions and so on and so forth. So Danelle Dinsdale and I have been working on that, and we're largely done with that. And so it's back; those are all back in the hands of our legal advisors to consolidate the changes. And we expect to have those back in the hands of your legal advisors for their final review by the end of September. Your council's legal advisors have already signed off on these in substance, but given that there will be some minor changes, it's appropriate that it goes back around that loop for advice to you. Jim Scotland and Sam Robinson are working on the financial modelling and the subscription agreement. It comes out of that, the subscription agreement for investors. We expect to have that to you around the end of September. And the financial modelling, because there's a piece in your last year's decision that needs to be reviewed by Deloitte. So that should be in shape for them to review in October. And then thirdly, on the construction, finalising the repricing or price revalidation of the construction contract and matters related to the construction, like the land swap and the fish passage. David Faulkner and Roger Marker are working on those. And again, we expect to have the price revalidation done by the end of September, and Andrew will touch on that as well. The other thing I need to advise you about is I'm going to be away overseas for the month of September. So Jim Scotland will be acting chair of HBRIC for most of the month, but he too is going to be away for a short period. So while he's not here, Danelle Dinsdale will be the acting chair. And unfortunately, I won't be back. I think your meeting is on the 30th of September. I don't think I'll be back in time for that meeting. So you will be seeing Jim Scotland standing in my place when we report in September. Other than that, I'll hand over to Andrew to go through the nuts and bolts. Thank you.
Oh, thanks everybody. I'll just go through the points and turn in the report. So obviously we've got everything's back in full swing post the consent process. As the chairman's noted, design and construct, OHL Hawkins well and truly into that process. The price revalidation process. They had 17 people working on that, so that's quite a major exercise. That price revalidation process will both assess any movements in construction price indices, inputs, all that sort of stuff. And in addition to that, they're also laying out a distribution network over the landscape in relation to where our water demand is appearing with more certainty. So that's moving on pretty quickly. And we have one or two residual issues to sort out in the contract itself. And just as the chairman noted, we do expect to be in a position to have all of that sorted in time for the 30th September meeting around the CP. Okay, so that's that process. Financing. This work stream, we now have 5 potential institutional investors at various stages of due diligence. That activity's moved along very fast post the consent process, as we expected. And I guess there'll be a little bit of a fix in this, but we do have, as we've indicated on previous occasions, one party that's more advanced than the others. And again, by the end of September, in the financing work stream, we will have a base case financial model that's been robustly tested through both the construction price validation process as well as institutional investors' terms and conditions. So that enables us to bring that piece of work back for you to hand to Deloitte, okay, for your review. It may or may not eventuate, depending on where we're at with subscription agreements, to term sheets, preferred investor versus competition, but there's a reasonable chance that in early October that might be a public position.
Investor, Councillor Belford.
There hasn't been any mention of SIL lately. Are they out of the picture? Are they later in the game, or when?
No, they're part of the project. Yep, they're part of it. Okay.
I think, just for clarity, the five that Andrew's been speaking about are the five private sector investors. CIIL are still in the game, obviously.
And look, I just need to comment on what we call in the Talkie Limited Partnership to just refresh you all. I'll spend a wee bit of time on this. That was a part of the capital or financial structure that was related to eligible investment. There are various rules around that sort of investment, obviously, but I'm not going to go into all of that. But what that instrument was targeted at was both farmers being able to invest in through their own limited partnership, aggregate that investment tranche, and that would move into the Rutanaka LP. That capital raise, it involves a fair bit of legwork. It is not absolutely crucial in terms of being able to get to financial close because institutionals would take the entire amount. But there's a very strong view from the board that is highly desirable that we do have a decent amount of local investment in the scheme. And so there, I've noted in this report that we're contemplating having a third party run that aspect of the capital raise. I should be clear there, that third party would run the marketing side of the capital raise. And we're in negotiations with the party to do exactly that. And there's a fair involvement also from one banking partner around that instrument. So I would expect that we're going to be much clearer about how that tranche is all going to fit together again by the 30th of September with a view to moving into a pretty active process. And that will be something that we'll want to discuss in the detail of the financial model and the capital structure. We'll get there. So that's that. Water uptake. The charts. I've just cut out the charts from the last public meeting we had to give you a feel for where that's at. Without going into the absolute numbers, our focus between now and September, and now and the end of September, is with a significant number of parties we're talking to, identifying whether they're going to move to a contracting phase or they're not. And if they're not, it's better that we know now because we focus our attention on those who are. So that's where we're placing our attention there. We will have some potential fine adjustments around the water use agreement that we don't want to deal with until we're through the financial model and the price revalidation issue. But as soon as that's done in September, we'll be looking to deal with that. Okay? And obviously we'll let you know where that's going when we get there. Just suffice to also to say that we do have significant external interest. We always have had in the background interest in entering the irrigated footprint. And my note here, that interest comes from horticultural, viticultural, small seed and red meat mixed arable enterprises. Just thought I'd make that note because there's been all sorts of conjecture or speculation or perception that it's going to be a dairy dominated scheme. Never was, still isn't, and the external interest is in different land uses, which is no surprise to me or anybody else who's close to the action on this, because that's where the best margins are. Okay.
Are you going to still in water uptake?
We're just, yeah.
You're about to leave that, right?
Yep.
Just to clarify, I am interested in tracking the numbers a little more closely. I've tried to reconstruct what I understand them to be. That chart in your presentation takes my magnifying glass to try to read, and I'm not sure even then I got it down quite correctly. So if you wouldn't mind taking a look at what's about to be handed to you. The categories that you've been using in the May and July reports are this countersign, in contracting, and in negotiation and due diligence. So the May and July numbers are out of your last two reports to us. And then the August is what I tried to decipher out of that pie chart, or not the pie chart, but your little arrow thing. Are those numbers that I have on the sheet accurate?
No, I don't think they are, actually.
You mean
The right-hand side?
Yeah.
Yeah, under my August column.
Yeah. No, so if I take the August column, the countersign's sitting a little bit above 20.
20?
Hang on, so where are you?
It's a little about 20, I agree with you.
Well,
It's 21, 22.
well, it's around about 21. Okay, right.
And what's the number? The number of
Sorry.
them?
Of them? Oh, look, I'd have to go back to the database, frankly. But I'm happy to circulate that information to you.
So I would
Right.
appreciate that. And I guess if my numbers are accurate, my question about this is in that last, under August, the jump to 72
No,
million.
it's not. It's not 72, it's 57.
It's 57.
What's the 18 figure? What's that?
That's in the order of 17, maybe? Yep.
So if it's 57, what you've done is take everybody who's a 0, 1, or 2, and now you're calling those people in negotiation and due diligence.
No, we're not. Actually. We have several stages, right? And I'll just repeat it for you so you're absolutely clear. There are 6 stages in this process.
Yep.
A 0 means that there's a property identified that's got some irrigation on it, but there hasn't been a conversation.
Right.
It moves to a conversation where there's been a detailed conversation with a particular individual, property owner, and they then make a decision as to whether they run a case, their own business case around an irrigated farming system, what irrigation land they can irrigate, how much water they need, and what's the underlying financials of this process, right? That will typically go through more than one conversation. It often takes 3 conversations, and it takes banking advice, it takes farm advisory advice, it takes irrigation company advice. That's the due diligence process there, right? So that's 1 to 2. When they make a decision to move past that point, what they do is they effectively place an order form with us for water. That indicates the area they're going to irrigate, indicates the volume of water they're going to irrigate at. So the volume of water, the terms and conditions, whether it's deep groundwater or it's new water, whatever the case might be. That stage, by the time they're in stage 3, that goes through another process, and that process means it's converted into a contractual form from us. That contract is reviewed and signed off, depending on the delegation, generally speaking by me. That contract is then, depending on the individual's own preference, is either submitted to them and or submitted to them and their solicitor to sign. So that's the process.
I've got a higher level question, Councillor Belford. You seem to have dropped the number of 72 million into the bottom right hand corner of your table here. And I have no idea where that number comes from or what it's supposed to represent.
It was my best interpretation. That's why I put it out to you, because I could not decipher what it is.
Your best interpretation of what? If you look at the chart that's in here, the top of the coloured in bars come to a number that is somewhere between 55 and 60 million, right, which is remarkably similar to the 2 numbers at the bottom on the left hand, the May and the July columns. And that number is not significantly different from now. We're not trying to sell 110 million cubic metres at financial close. We've consistently told you we're trying to sell 45 million cubic metres, and that we've got somewhere north of 55 million cubic metres in the pipeline. So this whole construct of 72 million and 110 is a figment of your imagination. No, yes you can.
Order, everyone.
I innocently enough.
Order. We're getting an explanation. Settle down.
So, I can, with the aid of my glasses, read the numbers on the left-hand side of this chart, and it's very clear that the top of the coloured in bars is above 55 and below 60. There's no number on that chart that's got 3 digits in it. So where does 110 come from?
It was simply my attempt to read those 3 numbers and add them up. And I politely asked you
Anyway, that's
to correct the
Right,
numbers.
we've had the
because-
explanation,
okay,
Councillor
okay.
Belford.
So,
Relax.
the point is,
Well, but
sorry, I'll get it. The underlying point is, as you all know, we need to hit an uptake threshold before the scheme proceeds. That threshold, whatever the ultimate number is, whether it's 40 million cubic metres, it's 45 million cubic metres, generates a cash flow. That cash flow then flows through to the financial model, and that financial model then distributes cash back through the limited partnership to investors, including yourselves. And that is the key metric that we have to hit and update. And it's about as simple as that. It's not any more complicated.
I'm not questioning the process or whatever.
Just, hang on. If you've got an issue with the graph in future, give Leanne a call, or email me, and we'll try and do something better. If it's not good enough, let's fix it.
Indeed, the second figure under land use farming system summary, it says in brackets underneath that, based on 58 million cubic metres in the pipeline. What bit of that didn't anybody read?
I think we're there. Let's continue, please.
Okay. So in uptake, it's pretty simple. We're going to hit a threshold. That threshold of contracts converts to a cash flow. That cash flow drops through the financial model, drops through into cash distributions to investors, and that determines investors' returns. It's about as simple as that. In terms of the process of contracting, that's clearly more involved because these people need to make a fundamental business decision, which involves both their own assessment of what they want to do. It involves the land use that they want to run with, the farming system, the capital involved in that, the financing involved in that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? And one of the reasons why we have persevered through the consenting process with that work stream as opposed to just putting it on hold is because we've always known that it would take parties a while to do that. But now we're approaching a time when ultimately we need to convert that number. And that's a lot easier to do now that we're clear of the consenting issue. Okay? So it's going to be what it's going to be. My underlying point with water uptake is it's going to go right to the back end of a deadline before all of this demand materialises in countersigned contracts, and that is absolutely consistent farmer behaviour. Anybody who, for example, sells stock through a meatworks knows exactly what the process is around behaviour, and that behaviour is going to be evident for the next couple of months.
And you do give a date, I think, somewhere near November 11th.
Yep.
What's the significance of that? Why November 11th?
Well, no, that's a fair question. So if you look at the board's process, basically we would like to be in, or the board, I should say. So I'm speaking on behalf of the board, if the chairman don't mind, but the board would like to be in position as your advisor, advising you around investment, with a view to having that conversation conducted in earnest at the 16th of December meeting. Now there is going to be a little bit of uncertainty around that date because there will be other investors who have their own governance and approval processes to get through, and how those overlap with that time frame, the council's time frame, is something that we're going to have to work on in the next few months. But that's the desire to have this deal done, or 90 to 95% of it done this side of the calendar, by the end of the calendar year. To do that, we need to know, or the board needs to know, that's the HBRC board needs to know and be able to make a judgment on has it got enough contracted water in the pipeline to justify making that decision, which triggers a whole bunch of other decisions. So the board has sat there with me and taken my advice and said the 11th of November is the date that we're going to signal to the farming community we need enough action to justify those next steps in that process. That's how it works. Sorry? Yeah, and
the
look,
11th
I mean,
hour of the 11th day.
yeah, it is really actually.
And it
Actually,
will be down to that.
I did have a Freudian slip initially I'd stuffed up because I wrote down the 11th and then said it was Friday the 11th of November and realised actually I was 2 days out. It was the 13th of November was the Friday, so I thought I'd better get rid of that. So, look, the underlying reality is here there is a really compelling need for a decision one way or the other and deadline itself, and we're finally in a position where we can start using that language. Okay?
Question. What form do you think the advice is, do you anticipate the advice being that the board is going to bring to this council on the 16th of December?
Yeah, Jim. Yep.
So my expectation, assuming that we get over this threshold, will be that progressively over the preceding months we have crossed all the conditions precedent, that all the other dimensions of your June 2014 decision have been met. In other words, the legal documentation has all been reviewed. You have your advice from Deloitte's about the financial model, and that we're in a position to advise you in relation to our return on investment, and that we have a view about that return on investment, and that we will be making a positive recommendation for you to implement the decision that you have already made, subject only to those 4 conditions precedent and the other elements of your decision.
Okay.
Continue.
All right, so my next point was financial close. I think this has been dealt with. I just might talk a wee bit about comms very briefly. The major communications event was obviously the meeting facilitated and organised by Hawke's Bay Today a couple of weeks back. It was well facilitated in our view, and it was certainly well attended, really well attended, which is great. I think I think it was a good event. The tone was good, and I think if depending on what view a given individual had in the room, they may or may not have been swayed one way or the other by the meeting. But I think for those sitting in the middle, just asking a few questions would probably help. So therefore, that was constructive exercise. I also, it was pretty clear that for those parties, largely the rural community who need to make decisions around the scheme, that they walked out of that meeting largely with us. Actually. So, all in all.
So you saying after Councillor Graham's dissertation that there was a spike in sales? Or?
Well, I had a few.
I was tempted to make him an offer to join our sales team, Chairman.
You can relax, Rex. I haven't had a whole lot. I haven't had a flurry of people rushing towards me. Oh, did they? Oh, did they? Okay. So anyway, look. I think that was what it was. Look, before Heath just quickly runs you through financials, just want to comment. In the last meeting there was a bit of conjecture about our comms with farmers, so I'll give you the latest letter that I've sent to them. I'll distribute that in a minute. In addition to that, we've had Cortron do an independent review, which they've had independently peer reviewed themselves around the ecological and environmental effect of the scheme from their perspective. So I'm going to distribute that as well, just for your information. And I'll also, two other bits of information. A lower Hutt or upper Hutt-based economist, Mr. Peter Fraser, had a view on discount rates. So I've got some tables showing you what discount rates mean and what are used around the countryside and how those discounts flow into the scheme. So I'll circulate that. And finally, I might do this first, actually. This will be of interest to you. Finally, oh, yeah.
That's
all right, Councillor Barker. Sorry, finally.
He's arrived here fresh.
It was the last bit of paper I picked up. What I've got here is I'll talk to it when it's circulated.